If you have seen The Big Short, you may know Michael Burry, played by Christian Bale in the movie. He is the guy who first saw the housing bubble in 2007. He read the actual documents. He saw the dog shit FICO scores. He saw the adjustable rate mortgages. He saw the things that couldn't be paid. And he made a massive bet, a little early, but a massive bet against the housing market that paid off. Now, the real Michael Burry is a little more complicated, and he's had a pretty interesting history since then. People will say he's predicted a lot of crashes that haven't come true. I will say, if you look at his fund's performance, I think I have it here. He definitely has had a couple, he's tweeted some things that are just dead wrong. Over the past 10 years, he's done rather well. Over the past 5, pretty well. In the last 3, pretty badly. And over the last year, a little bit less than the S&P 500. So in the recent years, he has not adapted well to our current insane market. But over 10 years, his performance does beat the S&P 500. That's Michael Burry. So it's a complicated man. And he has been off of social media for a while now. Recently, he got back onto X.com, aka Twitter. His username was Cassandra Unchained, I'm sorry. Cassandra, again, a reference to the Greek fable of the woman who was cursed to know the future, but no one would believe her. So he's getting on the nose. And he tweeted this. This was me then. This is me now. Oh, well, it worked out. It will work out. So he's back. And he posted this. He's using photos I guess if Christian Bale played me in a movie, I would use the screenshots too. But it is funny because in real life, he looks more like this. Not crazy far off, but And he posts this one. Sometimes we see bubbles. Sometimes there's nothing to do about it. Sometimes the only winning move is not to play, which is interesting. He's kind of saying, the market's crazy right now. It's frothy. It's a bubble. But the smart thing to do is not touch it because you don't know what's going to happen, which is something that I would agree with. But then right after, it was revealed that he is playing. He has made a massive $100 million bet, $1 billion option against Palantir and NVIDIA. He's putting a put option on Palantir and NVIDIA, saying those two stocks, which are insanely frothy AI bubbly stocks, will go down. So he's playing.
Okay, quick update from the Trash Day studio here in Japan. When I covered this Michael Burry thing a few days ago, there's been a big update. So this part where he showed the tweet with the frame of Christian Bale as him lying on the floor stressed out. This is the part of the movie of The Big Short where his bet is correct, but the world hasn't caught up to it yet. And he's just paying premiums and all his investors want to pull their money out and he's stressed and he's taking tubs on the floor. There was more truth to that now than I think I understood when we talked about this, because right after I made this video, here's the update. He shut down his firm. His hedge fund, Scion Capital Management, is shutting down after decades because he's simply, I'll use his words. This is his letter he wrote. My estimation of value in securities is not now and has not been for some time in sync with the markets, which is a polite way of saying he thinks the markets are fucking crazy right now and his ability to judge value and make bets in this market is not there. And much like Doug, Michael Burry's shorts are not working. So he's shutting it down. He's completely shutting it down. He's passing it on to his associate, Phil Clifton, who I looked at his social media. Phil Clifton is anti-AI bubble too. So same kind of thing. But so yeah, Michael Burry's out. I wanted to give the update. I think his points are relevant. I think he may end up being proven right, but he, unlike last time, is not willing to stomach the short-term stress and pain and emails and anger from running a hedge fund when he has a bet that is opposite the prevailing market trend, which is interesting. That's the update.
Now, Palantir especially is a company that what's the PE ratio of Palantir? It's like disgusting. It's 448. No, it's even higher, dude. It's disgusting. Again, that's the ratio of how much the company is worth to how much it actually makes. For a normal mature company, that's like 10 to 20. For a high growth tech company, it's like 30 to 40. For Palantir, it's 569. They just don't make any money for their valuation. So they have to have the most absurd growth to make this justified. They have to be the most insanely high growth company imaginable. Not necessarily impossible, but pretty crazy. So he's betting against it. And I barely covered this because that's his bet. There could be some truth to it. He's had good performance overall. Maybe it'll work out. But it's not a big a deal. But then Michael Burry came out with a new tweet that I think is actually really interesting. And it was this one from yesterday. Okay? And it's about depreciation. And I want to go through it kind of line by line and make sure you understand it because I agree with this. Understanding depreciation by extending useful life of assets artificially boosts earnings, one of the more common frauds of the modern era. So this is part of, he's like openly declared war against basically NVIDIA, Palantir, and the entire AI bubble. And after not tweeting for a long, long time, for being completely off social media, he's now back with a massive bet and talking. Massively ramping CapEx through purchase of NVIDIA chip servers on a 2-3 year product cycle should not result in the extension of useful lives of compute equipment. This is exactly what all hyperscalers have done. By my estimates, they will understate depreciation by $176 billion by 26-28. Okay, now let me explain what the he's talking about. Okay, you have a hot dog stand. First, I need to explain what depreciation is. What would a hot dog stand make it in a year? Let's do 20K, okay? 20K, that's what you made on your hot dog stand this year. All right, you sold enough hot dogs to do that. Now, let's say this stand costs 30K. So in year one, if you subtract the cost of your stand, let's say your cost of doing business, the cost of like making the dogs, your time, whatever, if you had an employee, the day-to-day cost of doing business is like $5,000. So normally you'd make 15K profit, but you had to buy the stand. So that was 30K. So you lost $15,000. But in a normal year, like next year, you're really profitable. Okay, you're doing pretty well. So what you want to do is spread the cost of this big fixed item over a number of years. That's why they do depreciation. If you put all this cost in the first year where it happens, it makes your business look really bad when it's actually not that bad. So you spread the cost over a number of years. An accounting trick, it makes sense. So what you're supposed to do is you spread the cost over what is called the useful life of the item. So you might spread this 30K thing over, how long do you think it'll last? 10 years? 10 years for this hot dog truck. So instead of $30,000 minus this year, it's minus $3,000. Now your business looks pretty good. 12K profit. And every year it's minus $3,000, minus $3,000, minus $3,000. That's just the general idea, okay? With GPUs, what Michael Burry is saying is that they have lied about how long they will last. He's saying that these companies have bought GPUs and on their books, they are depreciating them over more years than they will actually last to make this number smaller and make the profit seem good. That's the idea. And he's pointing to a real example. This is how long different companies have been saying on their books that the compute will last, that the GPU spend will last. In 2020, they said it would last 3 years at Meta. Now they say 5.5. Now, why did that change? Why did suddenly they say the GPUs are going to last longer and longer and longer? And it's because when they make these changes, they get to drastically increase the amount of profit on their books that year. It lowers the depreciation costs. And what he's noticing, the trend that Michael Burry is noticing, is that all these companies, all at once, are all increasing their lifespans. They're going from 3 to 4 to 4.5 to 5, 3 to 4 to 6, 5 to 6, 3, 4, 6, 4, 5, 6. And I have a specific example here. Like these are like stories that go underreported. You don't even see them. Here's one from Meta. This is in February of this year. Meta accounting move on AI servers to boost profit this year. Totally underreported story. Totally undiscussed. And yet, every 6 months, every 8 months, you see big tech companies changing their accounting to make the things last longer. Now, what I'll say is it's possible they do. It's quite possible that you can get more of a useful shelf life out of a GPU than we thought. Maybe an old GPU can be useful and make money for 6 years. But if it can't, like Michael Burry is saying, if it only lasts 2 or 3 and then you have to buy a new one, if they get old or if they're not useful, if people don't want to buy them or rent them, you've drastically overstated your profit in those years. And it's going to be a big correction. And I want to show you some examples that lean into that. First of all, there's a joke from Jensen Huang, which is a bad idea. Jensen Huang joked and said, hey, once the new GPUs come out, the old ones you can't even give them away. All these companies are trying to claim that these old GPUs they spent all this money on are still useful and good and they can sell them and they can sell the compute and it's valuable. And then NVIDIA's like, yeah, who cares about the old ones? You gotta get the new one. So like, this is directly contradictory. But also, the proof is they're not able to sell these old GPUs. Like, let's say you're like Oracle, right? You buy a bunch of GPUs, you build a data center, and then you rent out using that to AI companies. They are finding that they can't charge the same price on these old GPUs. The prices keep going down and down and down and down and down. And this is only for, things that are a few years old. But after 5 or 6, are they really going to be making enough money to justify the initial cost? No. That's what Michael Burry is saying. I think this is like one of his best points. I think this is one of the, like, anyone can say that things seem frothy and overvalued. I say it all the time. Like, everyone knows that we're in like a crazy frothy market. Like, valuations are extreme, but you never know when that's gonna change. But this is like him looking at hard data and going, they are lying in the accounting to make it seem more profitable than it is. And in fact, these GPUs are like a massive, massive expense that's only gonna last you a few years before you have to buy a new one with another few hundred billion. So it's a real issue. It's like a real, I think it's a smart take. And I thought this tweet was pretty good, which basically said like, this is kind of how I think about it. I'm nervous that some large percent of the economy is held up by GPU depreciation napkin math. Like, it does feel like that's what it feels like. It feels like these companies are not being like, okay, this is the honest mathematical how long they're gonna last and how much we can make on them, and let's be real. It's kind of like, let's say 6. let's say 4. Let's go 5. Let's go 6. Like, they just keep, you know what I'm saying? It feels very napkin math. And I think this is like a sharp insight by Burry, whatever you think about other things he's done. Now, whether or not his puts will pay off, I have no idea. I think betting against Nvidia or Palantir have both been really bad decisions. Same thing as Carvana. I know that Carvana is a fraud company. I know that Carvana is giving car loans that will not get paid back. I know that Carvana is overpaying for used cars in a way that will punish them financially. But I don't know when it becomes real. I have no idea. And so you can't bet against it. And again, there's other articles that cover this, like the AI bets that fueled big tech surge now threaten rich profits because the bills are coming due. Depreciation expenses are expected to rise, putting pressure on companies to show bigger returns in their investment, with some investors warning of a potential earnings headwind if AI investments don't lead to significant revenue and profitability growth. And that's with them kind of lying about how long they'll last. Why would he short Nvidia off of this? Wouldn't Nvidia win from this because the bet companies would need to keep buying GPUs? I think he's going to the heart of the problem. He's basically saying once these companies and their investors realize that they have to keep buying hundreds of billions of Nvidia GPUs all the time, and they're not lasting as long as they thought, they're going to stop doing it, and it'll all hit Nvidia at once. That's his take on it. But I don't want to be like, this guy's the Big Short genius. He truly is Christian Bale in real life, and everything's gonna be right. I don't want to say that, but I do want to say this depreciation thing. This is real. Like, they continually are changing their depreciation, and it makes their profits look good in the short term. One more thing I want to say. Where was? Oh yeah, his beef with Alex Karp of Palantir. Alex Karp the CEO of Palantir lost his fucking mind.
Like, I mean, like, go online. I mean, I guess people here have gone on X. Like, just forget you don't need to know anything else. Just look at like who hates Palantir and look who hates me. And then judge us by that standard. What should our market cap be based on that standard?
That's not what it's about. So, I hate this shit. We will turn like what your company is worth into a mission statement political issue, or like what your beliefs are. It's about how much money you make. It's math. It's like vibes-based valuation. Dude, it's about profit. Money in, money out. It's just an insane valuation. People are shorting it because it is a risk to short it. Of course, we're in a crazy market, but they're shorting it because it doesn't make sense. But that's not what I'm looking for. He has one where he's talking about Michael Burry specifically. I think I have it right here.
If you want to do the personal version, I'm like this dyslexic, formerly and I believe currently still left of center, who actually sticks up for progressive values, which triggers, TDS loving people, because I think the Democrats aren't no longer progressive. And then the company is built in a truly sui generis, unique way, which would only be possible in America. And
it triggers people with Trump derangement syndrome because he's too progressive. What are you talking about? I mean, the company is just AI services for the military. It's not. Why is it so political? I didn't know this guy was so political. He sells AI services to the military. The idea that Michael Burry is shorting your stock because you're anti-woke is crazy. You can make the argument that you're such a high growth company that the crazy valuation is worth it. You can make that argument. That's a fair argument. You can say, look, they don't understand that we are on such a rocket ship of growth that we're going to grow into this valuation. I think it's so extended and so extreme that I think that's tough, just because your main client is the government. But okay, fine. But to say that it's just FUD and hater. I hate that whole line of thought. It's so pervasive in our country of like anyone who points out a flaw in your line of thinking or what you're doing is a hater. They're just FUD. It's just all because of they have no points, and I find that so frustrating.
The people who piled in to Palantir were people investing their own money, often people who are not in the investor class, non-experts. And even till today, the experts sit on the sideline and say, hey, this can't be true, while the average American...
Okay, but this is the same argument you could have made about GameStop and AMC, bro. That's not an argument for like why your company is worth this much. That you convinced a bunch of people to throw their money in who are not real investors is like, it's like you're doing the apes together strong.
Why do they have to go after us? And I'll tell you what, though, it's crazy motivating, because I'll tell you why the short sellers are constantly getting screwed by Palantir. Because every time they short us, we just are like tripling down on getting the better numbers, and part, honestly, to make them poorer.
I can't listen to a billionaire tell me how bullied he is by people thinking he might be overvalued. This is so fucking ridiculous. And again, man, that makes you question the numbers, because again, adjusted free cash flow, what did you adjust? Yeah, I hate this preponderance of adjusted EBITDA and adjusted cash flow. And it's like, just show me your actual free cash flow. Show me what you actually made at the end of the day. I hate all this accounting tricks people are using to be like, yeah, we grew our adjusted. And that's why I wear the EBITDA hat. One of the big things about EBITDA is the D, depreciation. Okay, it's kind of back to what Michael Burry's saying, which is that if you report only EBITDA, you are basically hiding or ignoring all of your costs, all your big asset costs. If you buy a factory or you buy a fucking new GPU, I'm not wearing the hat now, but like that's why I wear that hat.
But instead they ask, does it work in theory? The theoreticians, you have to ask, how often have you been right? And Palantir is about pragmatic decisions that create unfair advantages for America and its allies.
I'll be honest with you, I have not listened to this guy speak on extended length before. This makes me want to short Palantir. This is crazy. He hasn't mentioned the fundamentals of the business one time. What are you talking about? I'm not going to do it. You shouldn't, by the way, you shouldn't. In this economy, in this market, and what's going on, I think puts on high-flying companies are a insane risk.
Being short is a very difficult place to be, because you can lose everything, right? You can drive these people into the ground.
Thank God.
Like Michael Burry.
That's so funny. He's so mad. He's so fucking mad, dude. It shouldn't matter.
This is like Michael Phelps-like score, like Michael Jordan. Like there are no scores like this. And 121 growth off of almost a 1.5 run rate in U.S. commercial, and a 77% growth in the U.S., and an aggregate off of an aggregate base of $4.5 billion. By the way, I predicted we'd get here. So, it's like, if you want to short that, be my guest. You go ahead. We're just going to go do our things. I mean, look, I'll tell you, there's a tale of two.
I want to explain really quickly. First of all, the growth rates that he's talking about are not enough even to justify the valuation. I think people don't understand the stock market enough. And I think it's just, I'm not saying it's going down. I'm just saying, like, from a math POV. There's a difference between what something is worth and what something it's valued at. Something can be good and still be overvalued. And that is why these arguments I find to be a little bit, specious. It's the idea that, like, if I hold a rare mint first edition Charizard in front of you and I go, is this valuable? Is this a good card? You would go, of course. Would you buy it for $1,000? Of course. Would you buy it for $200,000? Of course. But would you buy it for $100 million? Okay? The card can still be good. It can still be a great card. It could still maybe be growing over time, like the value can be going up, but you're not going to buy it for $20 million. When you're worth 500 times what you're making, what your actual earnings are, it sends a signal that you have to grow even more than you're growing now for a very long time to even catch up, to be a more reasonable valuation. I'm not certain that he'll do that. I'm not saying it's impossible, but he needs to spend more time talking about that. Here's a pro Palantir case. We get World War III. World War III comes along. The government is just shoveling money to Palantir. They're getting massive, massive contracts, not just from America, but from all Western NATO, all of NATO. Well, that's a lot of money, man. That could probably justify the valuation. That's your bet. So really, I don't know if it's very hopeful to bet on Palantir. You're basically betting on World War III.
I don't know why these newspapers are helping Mandani win. I don't know why we can't have honest discussions about our future. I don't know why we have to allow fentanyl attack, but it's almost always sympathy for the expert that doesn't need it, the short seller that has some ridiculous reason for doing something against, I mean, most of GDP growth in this country is because of AI.
Dude,
the real question is,
this tangent into Mamdani and fentanyl, when to avoid talking about your company, I don't know, bro. Where there's smoke, there's fire, man. This shit feels sus. With the words of the late, great Red crewmate, this shit feels sus.